Another Dooley Noted podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Celebration Point. Okay, and welcome into another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. Fun show today, as always, on Mondays. Coach Spurrier's back in town. He's back in town. What is it? What? I can't think of what the music is. Big Mac is back in town. Anyway, anyway, he's back in town, so he'll be on today with Robbie Andrew. Of course, will be on for Yes, Nowhere. Maybe on Thursday, Chris Lowe from ESPN is going to join us. We'll wrap up media days, SEC media days with him, and then on Monday, Coach Spurrier back again. And then the following Thursday, James Bates is going to join us. We haven't had him on in a while, and he's, of course, moved away just up to the north of us. And we'll talk to him about what he's doing and how that's going to change his life. And I'm looking forward to talking to him. So that is our plan for the next 2 weeks. It's rare when we have a 2-week plan. It's usually like one day. All right, so let's get to our Process Service of Gainesville starting five. Brought to you by Process Service of Gainesville. Scott Hart. We appreciate Scott Hart so much. His time is wrapping up here. The new sponsor of the starting five is going to be the Gainesville Quarterback Club. So that's really cool. They have come on board for the months of September, October, and November. And so that's really cool. So I'm excited about that. So let's get to number one on the Process Service of Gainesville starting five, which was the U.S. Open. And it was, Schauffele was just too good. It's almost like there are guys on this tour who, when they get really going and they have precision and they're not nervous and they're taking some kind of meds, maybe, I don't know. But I mean, there's guys that just don't seem to have any emotion, and like Schauffele and Scheffler, Salser. But they just, when they get it going, you're just like, this thing's over. And I literally, at one point, and I'm watching my man, Billy Horschel, in the U.S. Open, or in the British Open, which he's never been in a major where he had a chance. And I'm watching him, and Karen was doing all this stuff, and she was working around the house, and she goes, "Can you go get me something to eat?" And I go, "Yeah, I think this thing's over." So, I mean, that's how good Schauffele was. Give him credit. It's going to be an interesting vote at the end of the year. Who do you vote for Player of the Year? One guy won 7 tournaments. The other guy won 2 majors. There's still a lot of work to be done. I mean, the way I look at it is you still got the Olympics. You still have the President's Cup. You still have the FedEx Cup. There's still a lot of golf to go. And now, those of you who don't like golf, I get it. It's fine. I do. So I'm going to talk about it. Let's get to number 2, which was on our Process Service of Gainesville starting five, which was Billy Horschel. Billy doesn't play well in majors, and every time he's in a major, and I mean, I can tell you so many great stories about Billy. He's one of the greatest guys in the world. But one year, last year, they're playing the U.S. Open in L.A., and I text him and I say, "Hey, my daughter lives a mile away. Is there any way you can get her tickets?" He got him VIP passes. He doesn't know them. He's just that good a guy. And I was rooting for him so hard. Finished tied for second. Birding the last 3 holes. I'm sure birding the last 3 holes was something he imagined he would do at some point in his life to win the British Open, but instead he finished tied for second. But it's fine. I'm just glad he was in contention. He was leading after 3 rounds. He is my favorite golfer. We all know that. But his short game was incredible. And a salute to Billy Horschel. We'll give him another salute in a little bit for doing what he did in that tournament. That made golf fun. Is that? No. I'm going to watch golf if it's 2 guys I've never heard of. Okay, I'm going to watch a major. I'm going to watch. Not a regular tournament. I'm going to watch a major. But when it's Billy, oh, God, it's such a big deal. The guy just went into the Bob Dooley Hall of Fame last year. So you got to look at that. All right. Let's get to number 3 on our process service of Gainesville starting 5, which is the commitment of Vernell Brown III. I am so old, I have covered all 3 of them. Well, I haven't covered the 3rd one yet, but I remember this is an answer to a great trivia question. Vernell Brown the first, senior, I guess he would be, was one of 5 quarterbacks to start. I think start, it may have been play, but I think it may be start. I have to go back and look it up. For Charlie Pell's 1979 0-10-1 team. 5 quarterbacks. Can you name them? I'm going to give you a minute, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to name them. But Vernell Brown the third is really, I watched some of his tape. Zach Appleverdi did a great commitment video of him. And the guy has an ability. He's got that first step. And you know, Urban used to talk about that, and I think a lot of us, not me, but I think a lot of people just didn't know what he was talking about. But he was talking about Percy had it, Brandon James had it. I think Vernell Brown III has it, where you take a step without pausing. That's what the first step is. Your first step is immediate. It's 0 to 60, your first step. And I think he's got that. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do at Florida. By the way, I'll give you the answer. 5 quarterbacks, I think all started, but I know all played for Florida in 1979. Vernell Brown would be one, Vernell Brown Sr. Tim Groves, who ended up being the defensive back at the back end of Lindsey Scott. So let's not even go there. John Brantley was the starter to start the year, and, of course, got hurt, blew his knee out. Tyrone Young and John L. Brown. John L. Brown, who was a running back / defensive back, played quarterback on that team. There's a reason they went 0-10-1. It wasn't an accident. Anyway, all right, so that's number 3. Number 4 on our process service at Gainesville starting 5. I wanted to bring this up because, you know, it all came out after we had our last show, and Florida, we all said, hey, 8th, 9th, maybe they're going to be picked. They got picked 12th in the SEC media. Now, by the SEC media. Now, again, they aren't around it. They don't know. I'm not saying they're going to be wrong. I'm just saying 12th. 12th. Really? I feel like what's his name? Oh, God. Dudley Moore and Arthur. 12th! How dare you? 12th is, man, if you need to take that number, the number 12, Billy Napier, put it up in big, some kind of you guys have all the money in the world. You're printing money over there. Put it up big and put it in the weight room and just say, hey, it's where they picked you, 12. Okay? Finish 12th. Guess what? I'm fired. You guys are going to be finding another school. Anyway, it was interesting. I didn't think it'd be that low. But again, guys, you're being disrespected because you haven't done anything. What have you done? You've had 3 straight losing seasons. That's why you're being disrespected. And hopefully this just becomes this bigger chip on your shoulder. And you take it and you go, we're not going to put up with this crap. 12? Really? And you take that and you make it a positive. Now, I've seen teams do that. I've also seen teams that go, hey, maybe we are 12th. I have seen that, believe me. But where they just go, they may be right. But I've also seen a lot of teams that take something like that and they make it a positive. I think it's one more positive thing for Florida football in 2024. Now, does it become a positive? We'll wait and see. Look, I've said this before. I've said it a million times. I'm going to say it over and over again. Every Florida football game, maybe other than Samford, is going to come down to the fourth quarter. It's going to probably come down to the last 5 minutes. If you can win those games and win enough of them, you're going to have a good record. You may even be in the playoffs. If you lose all those games, you may have to find another coach. It's just the way it is, man. If you win those games, your coach is going to get an extension. If you lose those games, maybe not. Maybe you're going to get rid of them. All right, number 5 on process service of Gainesville starting 5 is that when the SEC also came out with their all-SEC preseason team, shockingly, no Gators were on the first team. Well, yeah, no. Nobody's done anything in their past. And again, you guys, I'm not trying to be negative. I'm just trying to say what everybody thinks. And I've been in the media, obviously, for most of my life, so I know what the media thinks. And the media goes, there's nobody there that jumps out at me. And guess what? Now I have 16 different rosters to deal with. Don't pay any attention to it. Everybody that voted on it just took the easy outs on it. It's the same guys you would expect. How are you going to be, like, if you're Graham Mertz, okay, I want to be the all-SEC preseason quarterback. You know what that is? That means you're the best of 16 quarterbacks. 2 of them probably going to be the first 2 picks in the draft. Don't worry about it. It's meaningless. And I've said this a million times. Nobody ever gets a plaque. Nobody ever gets a trophy. Nobody ever gets a certificate for being preseason all-SEC. They don't exist. They don't. I don't even know if they exist for postseason all-SEC, but they don't exist for preseason, so don't worry about it. All right, that's going to do it for our process service of Gainesville starting 5. Appreciate all of you for watching and listening. We'll be back in just a few minutes after our commercials with Coach Spurrier. We'll talk to him about where the Gators are picked. And then Robbie Andrew will join us for our yes, no, where, maybe. I blanked on what it was for a minute. We'll be right back. I should say that. Zach, why don't you just give me direction? Go, we'll be right back. That's all you need to say. All right, we'll be right back after this break here on another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios.
Meldon Law has been serving personal injury victims since 1971. In those days, Jeffrey Meldon's presence as an attorney in the music scene dubbed him with the nickname the Hippie Attorney. And although times have changed, 2 things haven't. Our commitment to bettering our community by helping the injured.
Albert, are you ready to go to the game?
And our love for the Florida Gators.
If you bleed orange and blue, Meldon Law is the firm for you.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Tebow Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Bite Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
Process Service of Gainesville offers a rapid turnaround on affidavits of service for Gator lawyers locally and nationwide. Our friend Scott Hart offers immediate responses on status requests and is a member of NAPS and FAPS. And he has been a part of the community for almost 2 decades. Need service? Call Process Service of Gainesville at 407-697-9592 or email shartgators, that's G8TR, at yahoo.com. And make sure you ask about the paralegal legal secretary bonus program.
Okay, welcome back to another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. And Meldon Law also presenting Coach Spurrier every Monday when he's in town. I mean, he's been out a lot. He was doing Heisman stuff, and then, of course, went cruising the Caribbean. So you did it all.
Yeah, we went on a cruise. You fly from Jacksonville to Miami and then to Barcelona, Spain. and it was about 8.5 hours in the air. So you try to get
Now,
comfortable.
what do you do during that time?
Well, we had a fairly decent seat, and it's funny when you're just sitting still. You don't have to go to the bathroom about once every 4 hours, so it wasn't that crowded. So you could, but it was a big airplane and all that. But the highlight was we went to Florence, Italy, and the Leaning Tower of Pisa. You got to be there once in your life. So we took a whole bunch of pictures. And my grandson Luke Spurrier got engaged to his future wife right there.
Right there.
Leaning Tower. And then I think the next day we
Did she cry?
No, I think she knew it was coming. It was not expected. And then the next day we get back on the cruise ship and go down to Rome, and so we saw the Colosseum where the gladiators used to fight.
Yeah.
It was interesting seeing all these buildings, and the guide said, now this was 200 years BC, before Christ was born. And I mean, these 2,000 to 2,500-year-old buildings and so forth. It's sort of interesting. But other than that, everything was pretty much on schedule. I'm certainly glad that computer glitch didn't hit.
Yeah, oh, God, I didn't think about that. Yeah.
You're sitting down in Miami in the airport with 10,000 people. That would not be much fun. So we're pretty fortunate everything was on schedule.
Yeah, I literally went, I can't remember what day it was, probably a Friday or Saturday, to Dick's Sporting Goods. And they go, hey, we're closed. We can't do anything.
No.
And I was just trying to get some shoes. I was trying to get some new shoes, but that was kind of crazy. Obviously, also crazy is I never thought Florida would be ranked 12th in anything, but they're ranked 12th in the SEC media. Your friends in the media voted Florida 12th in the conference.
So did USA Today newspaper. I was looking at that just today also. They had Georgia number 1, had us number 12, and South Carolina 13. So we're way down the bottom half. Alabama was only number 4. That was the sort of interesting one. With
I don't agree with that.
Ole Miss ahead of them. Yeah, I don't agree either.
Well, here's the thing. I don't like Georgia at 1 because Georgia's got to play at Ole Miss, at Alabama, at Texas. They're going to lose at least one of those games, maybe 2. Not to mention that they got to play Missouri, which everybody's in love with, and Kentucky and Florida. So, I mean, who knows? I just got a feeling Georgia may fall off a little bit this year. I may be wrong, but I think they will.
Yeah, they had Georgia pick 5th. Missouri 5th, LSU 6th, and down the line. So 16 teams, and it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. I'm just hoping we can have a winning record for a change and win a bowl game, and that would be a good year.
I think if I was Billy Napier, I would take the number 12 and put it right up in that weight room, and just plaster it up there and go, "This is what everybody thinks of you. They think you're the 12th best team, the University of Florida, 12th best team." I would just hammer that into those guys and make them, they've already got a chip on their shoulder. Give them another chip.
Well, you could do that, or you could say we should be up there with those top 3, and if we play like we're capable, that's what I always tried to do. But
you had a different philosophy than that.
Well, a little bit the same though. At Duke, we were usually picked 7th out of 8th teams, or 6, 7, or 8, something like that. But we didn't really. I'm more or less just wanting to tell our guys we're just as good as everybody we play. You guys are good players. Now, if we play better than the other guys, we can beat them. So got to play smart, got to play all-out effort, and make plays where it's there, and because we're just as good. That's what I used to try to tell our guys. And, a lot of times they believe me.
Yeah.
We're just as good as those guys. Let's go beat them.
Yep, so, exactly. But that's the thing. I mean, you've got to go out there with the right attitude. You got to go out there with the right. And like I always say, you got to get in shape during the off season. You got to be ready to go. I mean, there's a lot of things that go into it, and we'll see if this team has been able to handle that.
Winners expect to win.
Yeah,
they don't always win, but they expect to win. It doesn't always go your way, but if you have the mentality that if we play to our capabilities, we should beat these guys.
But how do you get guys to expect to win?
Expect to win?
Yeah.
Well, our way was to try to tell them we're just as good as the other guys, and play as if you believe we're going to win. You don't know until it's over, but if you have an attitude that we can and should, it gives you a little extra benefit.
But you've been around guys that didn't expect to win, too.
Right.
I mean, playing as a coach, I mean, all through your years, I mean, there were guys that didn't expect to win. So it's hard to kind of make sure you've got the right guys on the field just for that reason.
That's why you give everybody a chance.
Yeah.
Gosh, I look back, especially at Duke, the year we won the ACC, which by the way is the only one in the last 62 years, and it'll probably be the only one ever.
I think you're right.
We didn't know how good this running back was. We're in our 5th game against Clemson, and our starter, it was a little guy, could run the draw play, catch the ball out of the backfield, really good player. But a bigger kid named Randy Cuthbert. I
remember him. He played in the USFL.
And all of a sudden, he was running over guys and through guys, and it lifted the entire team up. When you're running back and run over guys and make another 5-6 yards, and he went on to gain 1,000 yards, and he only started the last 6 games of the season. That's how good he was, and we didn't know it. So sometimes you get a good break when somebody gets hurt, because the next guy may be better. But Randy Cuthbert, he was a redshirt freshman, so he had a lot of time left there. But he was really amazing those last 6 games.
So your time at Florida, were you ever picked lower than 2nd in the division?
Yeah, we may have been
maybe third
year. The 3rd year we lost about everybody. That was a 92 season. Talent-wise, it was the least of the 12 teams. But they fought back. But it was a lot of young talent. Fought back, won the division. Yeah, we're 1-2 in conference play, and came back and won 5 in a row to go 6-2 in conference play, and make it to the championship game.
Right.
And
Well, I want to ask you about the British Open. I enjoyed watching it very much. I know you weren't able to watch Saturday when you were stuck in the airport. When I was watching Billy Horschel do wonderful things on the golf course with his hat on backwards and everything.
Yeah, well, I watched that. Yeah, that was we were here this weekend.
Oh, you were here?
Yeah, we were here this weekend. That was a little before. Yeah, Billy Horschel had a good tournament, and what did he finish 2nd?
Tied for 2nd. Yeah,
two back. Yeah, he had a good tournament. Schauffele just was really good.
He was too good.
He was just too good.
He carved them up.
He did.
He really did. But and it was just fun to watch. I like watching the British Open, because it's not like the pot bunkers and everything. And I know you play. I've not played over there. You played over there.
I played Troon. Yeah, we played Troon. Yeah. Was actually the first. I shot 81 at Troon.
Really?
The reason I know that, a buddy of mine who was on that trip back in, I think it was 96. I asked him, we were talking about watching it on TV and, the postage stamp hole and all that. And I said, by the way, what did I shoot? He said, you shot 81. I got the scorecard right here. He still had the scorecard.
Yeah, I remember, Golden Ocala had that postage stamp, and it was very similar. It wasn't the same, but it was similar.
Yeah, they did.
But it's you would think a 100-yard hole would be nothing, but you better hit on the green.
And after we finished up there, it was only like 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, and we had a fairly early tee time, I think. And we went over to Western Gales, which is a really good course. It's one of the top ones. They don't play the majors there, but we played 36 first day.
Wow.
That's back when you're only 45, 47 years old.
Yeah, I remember those
36 a day. And so that was a full day of golf for us.
I played 9 on a Saturday, and I went, I think that's good. I think I'm good there. Yeah, hey, when you get old, this is what happens. You just get tired. I mean, it's not easy, especially with this incredible humidity. And I mean, hopefully this humidity helps Florida. But I mean, in the opening game, they're playing a team that's got more humidity. Than Miami, so it doesn't really help.
Yeah, it's hot almost all over the South in preseason nowadays. So if you get some of those northern teams, that might can get them a little pooped out. But
that's what you guys did when you played when you were a player here. You played, I think, Illinois one year and Northwestern another year for openers.
Well, my junior and senior year, we went to Northwestern my junior year, and then they came here first game. Yeah, first game of the season. So. And
they probably wilted in that.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, they were pooped a little bit. We beat them 43-7 here. Up there was fairly close. I think it was like a 24-10 or something like that.
Yeah. Do you think about those games a lot? Do you think about what happened in those games? I mean, just the whole. I mean, you've relived it. You've had to talk about it a million times to me, to Robbie, to all the other people that have interviewed you about all these games. But so, does that ever get tiresome, or do you like just thinking about it?
Well, yesterday I was flipping around and I put it on the SEC network.
Yeah.
So they had the replay of the South Carolina-Alabama game.
They did, yeah.
When Alabama was number one in the nation, and we had that huge upset. And then after that, they put on the Florida-Tennessee game of 98. We go into overtime, and we got Tennessee. They were holding. They had third and about
25.
30.
Yeah, maybe 35.
25
yeah.
or so, may have been.
It was a lot.
But they were out of field goal range.
Yeah.
And we rushed 5 to get pressure on T. Martin, and our middle linebacker, I don't know for what reason, he sort of looped around, and he ran up the middle for about 20 yards, and their guy made the field goal, and we missed our field goal. We just missed our field goal. And they stormed the field. We'd beaten them 5 years in a row.
Yeah, I know.
So that was the happiest day for Tennessee in a long time. And we sort of had our chances. Doug threw a corner route. We had a receiver just go off his hand a little bit. So we had our chances. And that was a really good team, that 98 team.
That was a great team.
I think we're first in conference in offense and defense.
Yeah, the number one receiver in the conference.
Yeah, Travis McGriff.
Travis
actually had a catch and got hit and fumbled it. That's the only time I can remember him ever fumbling. But it happened in that game.
He had a great defense too. That defense with Javon Curtis.
They got a couple of picks.
And Stooksy would put Javon out there and go, okay, this play you're just going to stand there and knock the ball down, or you're going to do this. I mean, that's a unique talent to have on defense.
Yeah, we had a really good team there. Javon Curtis and all those guys.
Mike Pete was still on that team, yeah.
Yeah, that team finished 5th in the nation. You know, I like to talk about that. Nobody talks about it hardly. How'd that team finish?
Yeah.
Well, we were top 10. That's pretty damn good. You know what? Well, didn't win the SEC, did you? Well, no, we didn't win the SEC that year. So it doesn't always work out that way. But you know, if you win 7 out of 12 and 3 of the other, and then you lose 2 conference championship games, and in the other 3 years, we were 3, 4, 5 in the nation.
Right.
So those teams need to be honored to me right there with the SEC champ team. Because some of the SEC champ teams actually lost the bowl game and finished out in the top 10.
I know.
So anyway.
Well, there's a lot of discussions about, I mean, you can only do so many things to honor people. I know the 84 team is trying to make sure they get the right recognition, the 40th anniversary of them. But also they had probation issues going on, so it's not as easy to do that. You guys didn't have to deal with probation, but you had to deal with probation. You know what I mean? You didn't do anything, but you had to deal with that in 90, where you had to, you know, they came to you and said, you're not going to play for the conference championship.
Yeah, it was in the middle of the season when they said you cannot go to a bowl game. And I said, well, bowl game's not that important. We can still play for the conference championship because they declare it at the end of the season.
Yeah.
Bowl game's got nothing to do with who wins the conference. So anyway, I guess the SEC had a rule that you couldn't go to the bowl game unless you had a chance to conference champ or something. I don't know. So we just said,
they did have a rule. They had a rule.
If we win the regular season, that's the same as winning the conference championship. They just don't want to recognize us as the champ for the bowl situation. So that's the way I look at it, and I always will look at it.
So did you guys get a trophy for that in 90?
No, we might have made one up, but not from the conference. No,
I'm just wondering.
Well, we probably made one up.
There's probably one somewhere. I'm convinced there's an 84 trophy somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, in a building somewhere. But we'll see. All right, so before I let you go, I want to know what your best moment of the trip was.
The best moment on the trip, I don't know. Maybe some of the dinners were pretty good.
Well, you were with family. I mean, that was the best part.
Yeah, we had a huge group there. Well, mostly Steve Jr.'s side. His triplet kids were there, and two of them had their girlfriends, and one of the girlfriend's parents were there. Really nice couple from Bowling Green, Kentucky.
Really?
So So
I've been to Bowling Green.
We talked a lot of Kentucky football, basketball, and they were not sad when Coach Cal left. They were ready for a change, but they were Kentucky Wildcat people.
All right, can you name all three of the triplets?
Name them, of course I can.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Well, Emmeline was a cheerleader here at Florida, and now she's one of the cheerleading coaches.
Really?
Coach Emmeline. Yeah, Emmeline. Gavin is now one of those analyst guys at Texas A&M. He went from Duke with Elko down there, and Luke is going to med school at University of Oklahoma. OU, so he's the med school student. He's the one that got engaged. So
well, I just want to make sure you could do that. You know?
I hope I can name triplets. They're only 22 years old.
I have trouble with names. I'm just it's a me problem. Anything else, Coach, you want to talk about?
Oh, that's about it. I just hope we're going to start practice about a week or so from now, a week or two, and hopefully get off to a good start against Miami. Get the crowd into it, which I think we certainly will, and see if we can get some momentum going. I know the Gators are anxious that when Georgia's in there and all these other schools, there's no reason why we shouldn't be right up there competing with them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm actually picking Texas to win the SEC. I think Georgia. When you look at the fact Georgia's going to go to Texas, to Ole Miss, and to Alabama. Nobody talks about their schedule. Everybody's talking about Florida's schedule. I would not want that schedule either. So finally, Georgia has a hard schedule. They haven't had one in a long time.
They haven't had one in a long time. It's interesting. Schedules really are important in whatever your record's going to be.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, we'll let Coach go.
Right.
We appreciate him being on, and we'll be back with more of another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios, who presented the HBC today.
Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility. At Titan MRI, we're focused on you, the patient, having a great customer experience. Our MRI equipment is modern and 75% quieter than any unit in its class. And our MRI unit has one of the largest openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units, which allows comfortable scanning for potential claustrophobic and larger patients. At Titan MRI, we look forward to serving you.
Adams Rib Company has been a staple of Gainesville for more than a decade and a staple of the Dooley house ever since Kelsey's teeth came in. The first time I walked into Adams, I told my daughter that the green beans are always a test of a great barbecue restaurant, and they were perfect. You know about the ribs that melt in your mouth, and my favorite, the turkey plate. But be sure to go in on Fridays for Nana's Fish Nuggets. They will melt in your mouth. Adams Rib Co., a Gainesville great. Another Dooley Noted podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Celebration Point. You can watch and listen to us on Facebook and YouTube for every podcast that we do on Mondays and Fridays at 2 o'clock. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast, any of the other 39 platforms where you can find this podcast or your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments section below or call me if you want to do some advertising at 352-317-3444. Okay, and welcome back to another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. Always great to be here at Steve Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, and appreciate him being in today. And always appreciate when Robbie can come in. Of course, Robbie was on vacation in West Virginia, and I'm sure you had a good time.
Yeah, Pat, I'm back, but we definitely had a good time. We stayed right in downtown Charleston, right on the river. It was really nice.
Really?
Great walking course.
I had people sending me texts saying, "Hey, where's Robbie at?" I live in Charleston, and I was like, I don't think he's around there. Last thing you wanted was people coming up, "What do you think about the Gators this year?"
I know. Even though that wouldn't have bothered me, Pat. It's getting to be that time of year, so.
It
We hear a
is.
lot of it.
Totally getting to be that time of year. All right, let's play Yes, No, Where, Maybe with Robbie Andrew. We always love doing that. He comes here on the Big Mills Cheesesteak Zoom line, and also Yes, No, Where, Maybe is sponsored by Big Mills Cheesesteak Street Dining Done the Right Way. If you go in there and say, hey, I saw that moron Robbie Andrew on another Dooley Noted podcast, free fries with your order, especially if you use the word moron. That will...
Moron would be the accurate description.
Yeah, and you may get 2 orders of fries if you
Yeah.
do that. All right, number 1. All right, you just came back from West Virginia. You attended the wedding of 2 cousins at some point.
No way, Pat.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to make sure.
No, I'm gonna tell Jill you asked that, and you're gonna go into her jail for that too. You are in deep trouble.
Well,
remember that time you called? Yeah, her grandmother wanted to kick your ass when you called West Virginia in print.
Wait, that's not that bad, though. That's not like marrying your cousin's bad.
Unless you're from West Virginia, and she wanted to beat your butt, man.
She did.
Remember that?
Yeah, she did. I was just.
They were all blaming me and Jill for your West Virginia stuff.
I don't know, man. I can only be what I am. I am what God made me. All right, number 2, Florida football was disrespected by being picked 12th in the SEC.
Well, I'm going to say maybe, Pat, but I mean, with all the other preseason stuff out there, that's kind of the perception that Florida, that's about where they belong. I don't believe that. I think the roster's a lot better than people that aren't around the program realizing that in year 3 with Napier, I think they're going to be a tough out, and I think they're going to be, maybe the surprise team in the SEC. I really believe that. And for people that don't study it, they think Florida is just what they were last year and the year before, and nothing's changed. But I think a lot has changed.
Well, but that has a lot to do with it. They have not done anything as a staff, as players, to make people believe, hey, they're going to be better. So, I mean, I agree with you. The roster is going to be better, but how do we know they're going to play better? And yet at the same time, they're not that far from being an 8-4 team. Last year, they could easily have been an 8-4 team. They just got to figure out how to be an 8-4 team. Yeah,
Pat, if they had, worked out a couple of those problems last year, you're right. They'd have been 8-4, and they'd be in the middle of the pack now in the SEC instead of at the bottom. But, it is what it is right now. They've got to go out and win games, and it all starts with that Miami game. It's kind of like a must-win for Billy Napier in that program, I think.
Yeah, it's a big game. There's no doubt about it. There's, I'm not going to ever say must win on the first game. Okay.
Yeah,
but
because so much can happen.
Yeah, you could go. Remember Florida? I mean, Miami lost the first game and won the national title. So, Ohio State
lost to Florida. Yeah.
So, I'm not going to say it's a must win, but it is a very, 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 very important game. Very.
Yeah, and the must part of Pat is they have to play. They have to play well. They have to play to a certain level that gives you encouragement heading into the rest of the year, no matter what happens in that game.
Yeah, they can't lose that game by having 2 number 3s on the field. They can't lose that game because they had a bunch of false starts. I mean, they need to take advantage of the swamp and make it happen and win that game. Like I always say, win by 1 is all I care about. You win.
That's all that matters.
You win 12 games in a row by 1.
Get the dub and move on. But, if you're right, Pat, it's home. They've got to win their home games. They do that, they're going to be fine.
7 home games. You should be fine. All right, let's get to number 3 on our Big Mills cheesesteak. Yes, no way, or maybe with the great Robbie Andrew. You're voting for Player of the Year on the PGA Tour, Scheffler or Schauffele? Salsa or Seltzer?
Right now, Pat, maybe. I mean, right now it's kind of a tough call. To win 2 majors in 1 year is a huge thing. But to also win 7 tournaments, and you're only in July, is a huge thing as well. But, when I was sitting there watching it yesterday, and Schauffele was so great on the back 9 yesterday, he was unbelievable. I'm thinking, if he wins, that's 2 majors in 1 year. You have to really consider him the Player of the Year on the tour now. To me, that's a tough call.
Yeah. It is a tough call. And don't forget, we still have the FedEx Cup, and you still have the Olympics. And I would think that plays into it a little bit.
But to me, Pat, he's the best player in the world right now because he is always there in that top 5 or 6 in the majors. And he is so calm under pressure, it's unbelievable.
Shoffley reminds me of Greg Maddux. It's like he doesn't do anything great, but at the end of the game, he's like, he's won, I mean,
well, he does not beat himself.
He carves it up. Yeah, carves everything up.
Yeah, he's got fairways and greens, makes putts. He's a great player.
You enjoyed Billy Horschel's run? I'm sure you enjoyed that.
I did, Pat. I thought it was a great way to finish for him yesterday, and he's got to feel proud of what he did in that tournament. He's back.
He's such a good man. I appreciate him. 3 straight birdies to finish. All right, my man, Robbie Andrews. I started to say Robbie Andrews of the Gainesville Sun, which is how I used to
can't do that anymore.
People. Okay, well, it's always great to have Robbie on the show. We love having him, and he'll be on, I think, next Monday as well. We're all done with vacations. I think most people are done with vacations. We're just going to live our lives now like normal human beings, work and everything like that. It is time for us to do our Campus USA Play of the Weekend. Now, I would like to have been a Billy Horschel shot. Instead, it was this shot.
Golf course
Sun
Moon
Kim,
regulation,
Sun Woo Kim, who hit this shot, and you're like, hey, that's a good shot. Oh, that's going to get close, and then it goes in the hole. Let me tell you what. It was a 238-yard birdie, or eagle, or hole-in-one. 238-yard hole-in-one. It didn't affect the tournament in any way. I'm not sure I can hit it 238. If I'm leaning on it, maybe I got some wind behind me, I might be able to hit a 238. This is what happens when you're an old man. And these guys are hitting 238 hole-in-ones. Anyway, it was our play of the weekend and is brought to you by Campus USA, where I bank and where Coach Spurrier banks. Campus USA, we appreciate them. Let us get to our Hesser and Kipke 3 things. And Hesser and Kipke is a Gainesville law firm specializing in the areas of workers' compensation. If you're a loyal listener of this show, you know who we are by now. If not, Google the firm, check out the reviews, and hear what our clients have to say. Ken and Jennifer can be reached 24/7 via call or text at 352-339-9920. Hesser and Kipke, 352-339-9920. Let's go to number 1 on the 3 things. And number 1 is how the hell South Sudan almost beat us in basketball. Now, you explain that to me. We can't put enough guys out there on the court to beat South Sudan. What happens when North Sudan comes in? They could be even more, or East Sudan. You're playing a directional school, right? South Sudan's a directional school. You got to beat them. They won by 1 because LeBron hit a shot. I don't know. It's not really that big a deal to me how you do in a friendly. I think friendlies are the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. Just call it an exhibition game. But I'm a little bit worried about whether our team's going to win or not. But even, that's the thing. There's a lot of Americans I'm rooting for in this Olympics coming up, obviously. Almost all Americans. And some other people, too. But I don't care whether the basketball team wins or not. We basically got tired of losing all these cheating games and everything. So we put our best players out there, and they won, and they won again, and they won. They scored like 1,000,000 points. And okay, we've established if we want to, we can be the best. Let's let the college kids go back to playing, and have fun with that, and make it all non-amateur. I mean, all amateur. In other words, none of these guys, Jokic, and nobody else can play. If you're in the league, can't play. If you're getting paid, you can't play. Let's just do that. I think it would be more fun. Just my feeling. All right, let's go to number 2 on Hesser and Kipke's 3 things, and that is, well, I know all of America can relax now because all 32 players from the first round of the draft have been signed. So, Zach, are you okay with that? Do you feel better?
I can probably rest easy.
You can, yes. Yes, their $7 million bonuses are all being processed and everything. The last one to do it was Amarius Mims, of course, played for Georgia, and almost went to FSU, which would made him a double enemy, signing with the Bengals. So that's it. Can't worry about it anymore. Just got to figure out something else to worry about with the NFL. That was number 2 on Hesser and Kipke's 3 things. Number 3, the Braves have been going through some really crappy stuff. And then Albies gets hurt yesterday. He's out 8 weeks. And then Max Fried gets hurt, and he's out for a while. So the Braves today signed Whit Merrifield, who I remember from South Carolina. He got the big hit that won the World Series that one year. And you know him very well, Zach.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, he's in the back-to-back for the Garnet and Black.
Yeah.
Back in the day, oh, yeah.
So they signed him, of course, after he was released by Philadelphia. So we're taking their leftovers now, I guess. But he's more there to be a backup, and when they need a guy in there, they're going to bring up this guy named, and I love the name, Nacho Alvarez, is going to be the guy who's going to play second base for Albies, and then when they need Merrifield, he'll fill in wherever. But it's just not going well for my Braves. I mean, I cannot believe all the injuries. Obviously Acuna's been out for the whole year, most of the whole year, and it's just not been good. And I'm not happy about it. So there. All right, let's move to the next thing, which would be our Adams Rib Co. Gator of the weekend. I'm sorry, guys. You know how I feel about him. It's definitely going to be my man, Billy Horschel, tied for second in the British Open. There were a couple other guys I looked at, believe me. In fact, Ian Gilligan played his first tournament. So I did look at those guys, but you finished tied for second in the British Open. You had the third round lead. You made us watch with great enthusiasm. I'm giving it to Billy Horschel. I know that, let's see, he has won $1 billion on the tour. He's won the FedEx Cup. He's won 8 tournaments. He's a member of the Bob Dooley Hall of Fame. And now he's a member of the Adams Rib Co. Gator of the weekend. What more could you ask for? You need to just quit. You need to resign. You say, hey, that's it. I've got all the awards I need. Anyway, obviously I'm kidding. All right, let's get to our Leonardo's. That's our Adams Rib Co. Gator of the weekend. Let's get to our Leonardo's quick picks. You guys, there were a couple of people got the 9 under right. There were a couple people that got Florida 12th right. Not many, though. I will say this. I would say there were 74, 75, somewhere in that. I didn't count them all up. People that entered the contest for the Leonardo's at Millhopper Quick Picks. I would say a total of maybe 4 got them right. They were hard picks. Look, I didn't see Florida getting picked 12th. I thought they would be picked higher than that, but they weren't. And then what was the other one? It was the score for the British Open, and it went way down, and it went up, and whatever. So 9 under 1. Anyway. We'll see. We'll spend a couple more Leonardo's at Millhopper Quick Picks before we get to the winner of the next one. I did get all those gift certificates, so you'll be happy. All right. Look, there's not a lot going on this week. I'll just tell you. I'll be honest with you. So our Leonardo's at Millhopper Quick Picks is going to be the Mets-Yankees game Wednesday. Mets at Yankees Wednesday. It's on TV. You can watch it. You can find out if you won or not. You're about to find out. It's about all that's on this week. A lot going on this weekend, but that is our Leonardo's Quick Picks. Mets at Yankees. All you Mets fans are going to pick the Mets. Yankees fans are going to pick the Yankees. The rest of us are going to figure it out. All right. So that is our Leonardo's at Millhopper Quick Picks. Let's finish up with our swamp games of the weekend. or of the week. And like I said, man, it's just a bad week because the WNBA is not playing this week because I still can't figure that out. But anyway, they're not playing, and then there's nothing going on.
They're on an all-star break.
Well, they had their All-Star break, but
Yeah.
But what? It's a week long.
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty aggressive.
I don't know.
It's not going to help them build their brand.
I'm just trying to give you guys games to watch, but there isn't much to watch. You know what you're going to end up watching? Like Coach Spurrier was saying earlier. There's a lot of big games being shown that have been played 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago. This is the time of year. Sometimes you can do that. I used to have 1 million games on my DVR, but every time you change out anything with Cox Cable, they all get wiped out. So I don't have them, but I'll find games. Believe me, it's not hard to find them. But here's what you've got for this week, really. Mets Yankees tomorrow, Tuesday, TBS 7:05. Wednesday, Mets Yankees, ESPN 7 o'clock. That's it. That's the list. That's all I got for you. I know that there's other stuff going on that I don't care about, but that's the only things that I can give you. And just still doesn't mean you can't go to the Swamp Restaurant. In fact, my wife and daughter went to the Swamp Restaurant last night to watch the last episode of Love Island. Is that a thing? Love Island? Zach, are you watching that?
I'm familiar, but I've never seen.
I think I think they did. Anyway, I went to bed before they got back, so they had a good time though. But that's where you go. You go to if you're going to go and have we're going to have a good party and have a lot of people around. That's the place to go to the Swamp Restaurant. So we appreciate them. All right, we'll get out of here. That's going to do it for our show today. We'll come back on Thursday again. Chris Lowe from ESPN is going to join us. Can't wait to get his take on the SEC. Zach, great job as always. Until next time, I am Pat Dooley. I'm deep. I'm way back, and I am out of here.